Hello, everyone. This is from Milwaukee to Nashville. This is our Preds Talk Part 2. Now, I'm sorry our first video got cut off. We will be uploading these together. So watch Part 1 before you watch this part. Thank you very much. To continue what we were talking about in the last video, we were talking about what we have given up.
Right.
And the Preds history um, of trade is all right. There we go. All right. So the Nashville Predators gave up Yaroslav Askarov, Nolan Burke in a third, which was Colorado's, for Magnus Corona, David Edstrom in a first.
Right.
We gave Cody Glass in a third in 2025 and a sixth in 2026, and Cody Glass for Jordan Freshka. We gave
Right.
up a second in June of 2024 for a third in 2024 and a third in 2025, which we have traded for Cody Glass.
Right.
We traded a fourth for a fourth. We traded Jesse a second in 2024 and Jesse Kieskinen for Andrew Gibson. That's just recently. Last year, we traded Igor for Ozzy Weissblatt, Ryan McDonough for a seventh this year, or this last draft, and a second this next year. Dennis Kirianov for Wade Allison. That didn't work out at all. Jason Zucker for a sixth round pick.
Right. And not that this has any bearing currently, but I just want to give some other statistics I have come across. In the 26 seasons the Predators have now been in the NHL, they have made the playoffs 16 times. Their playoff record is 56 and 75 overall. In the 26 seasons they've been in the league, they have 992 wins, 759 losses. And then the 60 after that, which I believe is ties. And then I think the next one is overtime losses, 186. So 992, 759, 60, and 186. So yeah, wins, losses, ties, and overtime losses. Their all-time leader in 26 season for goals is Forsberg at 295. Their all-time points leader in 26 seasons is Yossi at 700. Most goals in a season in the 26 seasons is Forsberg at 48. And most points in a season in the 26 years in the league is Roman Yossi at 96.
And by the way, out of the um Preds Tanner Janot trade,
Right,
so far the only thing they have to show for it is Dylan McKinnon.
right.
Out of the Mid-Ts Ekholm trade, the only thing they have to show for it is Reed Schaefer and Tanner Molendijk.
Right.
Out of the Mikhail Granlund trade, they have Kalen Lind.
And in the 26 seasons, they have had a total in the whole system of 23 different goalies. Obviously, big names such as, Pekka, Saros. We had Rittich a couple years ago. We had Vokun, we had Wedgwood. There was Chris Mason back in the day. There was Lankinen, there was Ingram, Hellberg, uh,
Dan Ellis.
Dekanich, Yarrow. So we've had some pretty good names that have had some good careers that, and good for them having their great careers wherever they had them. I mean, that is the purpose to get to the show and they have a good career. But, yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of goalies that that who knows what would have happened had different decisions been made.
All right. So looking also at Nashville, they have 3 picks in the first round, 2 picks in the second. The 3 picks in the first round is Nashville's, Tampa's, and Vegas's. Those two teams, so far in the standings, Tampa Bay is now third in their division, which they are currently getting caught up to by Buffalo.
Right.
Um, the other one is Vegas, where they're first in their division.
Yeah. And just back to like the coaching thing too, there's only been 4 coaches in Predators history. You know, well, head coaches, I should say.
Um,
And and so far, Andrew Burnett in the 2 years with 102 games played is 53, 41, 8 overtimes lost, has been able to rack up 114 points in those 2 seasons, and has a percentage of .559. But yeah, so I mean, there's also that, not saying that there's anything wrong, but like for 20 plus seasons only having 4 coaches, that's very rare.
yeah, I
There's
mean, and if you look at it, obviously, like Barry Trotz, Jeff Keatley, Scott Nickel, and Brian Poyle, all of them are the head-to-head staff for the Preds. Um, your development coaches is Mark Nathan Gerby, Pekka Rinne, and Rob Scuderi. Um, Pekka is also a scout for them.
yeah,
The team's massage therapist is the Admirals' old one in Doug Agnew, which Doug doesn't get talked about much by our by the Preds a whole lot,
right.
but Doug Agnew was with the Admirals for so long.
Oh yeah,
And I'm just not sure where it's gonna go. The director of scouting is Jeff Keatley, director of player development is Scott Nickel, director of hockey operations is Brian Boyle, director of goaltending is Mitch Cord, director of analytics is Matt Hammond. Your assistant coaches are Darby Hendricks, Derek McKenzie, and Todd Richards. Richards being the longest tenured one out of them all.
right,
Not exactly sure how I would go about that. And if I were anything, I would be listening to Richards about what he as his time with the Lightning.
right,
As Richards in his career was the head coach of the Blue Jackets, replaced by John Tortorella.
right,
Was the assistant coach for Tampa Bay for 4 years, 16, 17, 18, 19, into 20. and
Right.
became the Preds assistant coach in 2020. And has been the assistant coach since then. So if anybody understands how these players operate, it would be him. So if anything, out of a hindsight, there's that he's the other guy I would be looking at for the head coaching gig. Just knowing that he's had that much history.
Right.
Um, if you want to add this in, the Preds in their last 7 or their last 10 are 3-5-2. The Blackhawks are even better in that area. They are 4-6-0. They have one more loss, but they also have one more win.
Right.
Um, and the messed up part is looking at it, they're 6 points out of a playoff, 7 points out of a playoff spot. I know that sounds stupid to talk about right now, but at the end of the day, that's the goal, right? Guy like
Right.
Stastny being out this long, we don't know what's going on there. That's not helping.
Well, actually, you said Stasny.
Yes.
I actually have a thing from a site here. Don't know how accurate it is, but it says Stasny Personal was placed on the injured non-roster list. So it almost sounds like for personal reasons from the site I'm looking at. And then the Austin Roast, it says undisclosed, expected return November 30th. Stasny, it says expected return December 10th. I don't know if you're familiar with Puckpedia, but if you are, that's where I'm getting this from.
Okay, I've heard from that as well.
Plus, it doesn't help, like we've talked about the last couple of years, is it's showing me right here that we have 27.5 million in dead cap.
I can guarantee, I can confirm or deny that. They have 4.5 there, so 4.25. So 4.2 plus 7.555.
Yeah,
The hundreds don't matter.
right,
But you're talking at least 11 million in dead cap
right.
right now.
You know,
Duchesne's 5.5. Kyle Turris is 2.2 million until 2028. Next year it goes up by 1 million, but they get Johansson off their books. Johansson is on IR in um Philadelphia. Terms of that is unknown. Thing I'm looking at right now is Delgaizo, Parsonen, Evangelista, Tomasino, Nyquist. If
yeah,
you're looking at the season, if the season ended today, who you bringing back?
right,
Because personally, I'm not bringing back Nyquist, not at 3.1.
right,
And who's expendable? To me, Colton Sissons is number one on that list.
right.
I would not trade Tommy Novak.
No, I wouldn't either. I think that would be a bad move.
And coming out from the Preds media, from what I've been hearing from other media sources, the Preds have announced that they are not looking to trade their first round picks to get a center. They want something more long term.
Right.
If you wanted long term for a center, you had that in Duchesne.
Right.
And I'm sure there's other ways you could have worked around Duchesne's dead cap.
Right.
Because if you're looking at it, you're paying Forsberg 8.5, Stamkos 8.8 million, Marchessault 5.5 with a modified no trade clause, 15 team no trade. O'Reilly, he has no trade clause. Nyquist with his contract going up. I wouldn't be surprised to see Nyquist on the move.
Yeah.
That could potentially open up some cap for the Preds. As well as Sissons. Defensively, obviously, Luke Shen being one of the top ones that I would be willing to move upon. I would not want to move from Lausanne, as Lausanne's been doing very well. Carrier is one that I'm not 100% sold on, but what you gonna do? It really is looking like for the Preds next year, you're Tomasino's going to want at least $1 million. Evangelista is going to want at least 2, and Parson is going to want at least $1 million.
Right.
So that's the partner out the RFAs. Nyquist will probably want at least 3, if not 4. And
Right.
then from there, what's coming in?
Right. And I would like to add for this year, I came across the average age out of all 32 teams. We come in at 16, and the average age is 28.87 years old. So the team's average age of players and everything is around 28 years old.
Okay.
With the youngest team in the NHL this year being the Anaheim Ducks at 26. And it looks like the oldest team this year is the Edmonton Oilers at 30. But yeah, I mean, back to what we've been talking about, not only in part one, but like what is going on?
On an odd note, is you 2 playing at the Spear anytime soon?
Mhm. Not to my knowledge. That was a good concert, by the way. I caught it on YouTube.
But what would you say, looking at what they've had and what they're like? I mean, I'm on SeatGeek looking at their home games, and ticket prices for home games are plummeting.
Yeah. But you
I could
also
go to the
need,
Preds game on the 23rd of December for $23. I could go to the Flames game on the 10th for 12.
right. So if you're looking something for fun for the family and at a reasonable cost, now is the time.
Yeah, I mean, with the holidays coming up, with all the family stuff coming up, like I'm a dad. I got 3 kids. $12 don't sound bad for a hockey game.
Right.
So what I'm saying is if you really look at it, you know, the Preds got to do something because yes, you've got guys coming, but like Matthew Wood and Igor Shurin are not going to be here for a couple years.
Right.
Svechkov's probably still a season away. Like
Right.
you're you're not going to want to rush it. Ufco's taking a step back now that everybody's got kind of a thing on him. Roast said, or the Admirals said they're ready for that. Freshka just got the clear to play. It's looking like Juha Gatkola is finally getting his stuff together with Kalpa and Liga, as he is 5-3-2 with a 2.1 goals against average and a 91 percentile save percentage. Magnus Corona leading the way on that one, as well as Matthew Murray. The Admirals' goaltending has done phenomenal. At what point do you wonder if this is not, like I said back to the original video, a system thing? If
Right.
it comes down to the coaching system, it's just not working, then how do you clear that up? Because obviously, if it's not the head coach, then it's the assistant coaches, and which one of the assistant coaches is screwing up?
Right.
Who's not doing their job?
Yeah.
And right now, it looks like the players are trying and they're getting nowhere because they keep listening to the system and buying into the system, which is what they're supposed to do. It's just not working.
Right.
And this is a prime example of you can't win by a championship. This
Right.
is not Major League Baseball, where you're going to have the Dodgers and Yankees every year.
Right.
Sorry that I had to throw baseball under the rug there.
Hey man, super teams in any league have barely ever worked. I mean, in basketball, you had the Lakers work, the Spurs work for a little bit, but like other than that, every other super team that's been tried has just about failed.
Bucks
Yep,
are a current example.
right. They gave away a few players they shouldn't have given away, and in my opinion, that's what's led to their problems this year. But anyways, back to hockey. Uh,
Yes. But we're just using these as references.
right. Like
Do you think it's time that maybe the C comes off of Yossi?
right. There's only, if I looked right, have been either 6 or 7 different captains in Predators history.
And David Legwand, uh,
Hey, let's
Shea
see.
Weber, and Yossi are the longest tenured ones.
Right.
So, with that being said, the interesting part is when you look at this in 2026, the Preds have 30 million in cap spent on forwards, and that's just between 5 players.
Right.
That's between O'Reilly, Novak, Marchessault, Stamkos, and Forsberg.
I was right. 7 different ones from 1998 to 2002, Tom Fitzgerald, 2003 to 2006, Greg Johnson, 2006, 2007, Kimmo Timonen, 2007 to 2010, Jason Arnott, 2010 to 2016, Shea Weber, 2016 and 17 was Mike Fisher. And then from that point on, from 2017 to now, has been Roman Yossi.
Yeah, and they haven't done a whole lot.
Right.
So the question becomes, like I said, what do you do here? Well, let's take a look because I am curious. Just out of the top 23 for the 2025 draft. They did that to that now. Ah. The best center's looking like Michael Misa.
Okay.
Of the Saginaw Spirit, he has 21 games played, 23 goals, 19 assists, 42 points. Carter Bear of the Everett Silvertips, 21 games played, 19 goals, 18 assists, 37 points. But that's not, well, Misa's is good, but yeah, everybody's got him ranked number 3 or number 4.
Right.
Last season he put up 75 points. This season he's projected to put up 136 at this rate.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, like what way do you go? I mean, you got Joey Willis there with the Saginaw Spirit, the OHL. He's got 12 goals, 11 assists, 23 points, 18 games. At what point do you call Tanner Mollendijk back out of the juniors and say, hey, we'll give you a shot, kid?
Right.
Because he was one of the last people cut out of our team anyway.
You know?
So, I mean, at the end of the day, and like I'm saying now, the guys that are expendable, Carrier is expendable. I mean, at what point do you sell?
Right.
Do you say, hey, we're no longer trying to dig our what you gotta pull the if you gotta move, pull it. And you gotta do it soon. Not every team is the Blues in 2017 or 18.
Right. Okay. So just something out of curiosity that I just randomly looked up because we don't know what the problem is. But say they do make a change in coaching. I ended up looking up an Islanders reference. Patrick Waugh joined the Islanders as their head coach on January 20th of 2024. So that's, let's see, that would still be about 2 more months. And last year, I believe they did make it to the playoffs, but got bounced in the first round. So, I mean, you do still have some time to decide whether you want to change stuff out, but that time window is closing. And like you said, at this point, do we just settle for hopefully getting a top 5 pick?
Correct.
Which is going to
Also,
frustrate your whole locker room, unfortunately, because they're trying their hardest.
Um, also, I would like to issue something with our from our podcast. A prayers for a River Hills family. Their kid was struck by a car who spun out during the snowstorm here, and has passed away while waiting for his school bus. So I would like to issue our condolences. That just came across my phone in part of our passing. Please, for those of you in the Milwaukee area that watch our podcast and in the Wisconsin area with the weather going and with things going, and no, the kids have the attention span of a gnat. So please just slow down,
You know,
be safe.
black ice is no joke.
Yep. That is something that, hits home for me. I got kids. I got family, obviously. Um,
We're down to around 8 minutes already again. Man, we just woke up to work and we're just belting it out like nothing.
yep. Um, with that being said, I think that the Preds looking at Charlie Coyle maybe a little late on that one. I don't think that Coyle is the guy that's going to fix the problem, but
Right.
um, Coyle's not gonna. What, you're gonna have him be your second line center? I mean, at that point, why don't you just go call up the Sharks and say, "Hey, can we get Mikael Granlund on the low? What do
Right.
we got to give you for him?" And that's the thing, because teams are sniffing at their firsts. They want the first round picks.
Right.
So Nashville, either you're going to have to pull the trigger on a move with prospects, which I'm not so sure I'm keen on doing either.
Right.
If it doesn't work, because if it doesn't work,
Then the entire system breaks down.
exactly. So it's just one of those situations of it's danged if you do, danged if you don't. And if you do, what are you going to do? That being said, like I said, they got the first, they have theirs, they have the second, they have their second, they have no seventh, but they've got a ton that they can move around for some capital. I can see Nyquist for Coyle straight up. That may be a move that I would think would intrigue the Preds.
Right.
Not so sure where financially Coyle would fall. Let's take a look here. Boston. 5.2 million with a modified no trade clause. 10 teams. Player selects 3 teams, a 3-team no trade list. All right. Yeah, they're gonna have to give up more than just that on the back end. And from the looks of it, they're in just as much cap turmoil as we are. They do have 1.3 in dead cap, but
Right.
what you gonna do there? They have their first, so like I said, what do you do?
Right.
Um, at this point, I this is not a position that I would like. I like being in.
Right.
To be 100% honest, I think that maybe moving on and making some trades to maybe make a team a contender or a team that's on the bubble at this point, and just make that move before the season, before the trade deadline hits, and then when the trade deadline hits, see where you are.
Right.
I think fire the coach, make a couple moves to get some cap space, maybe some picks and some prospects. Pull some guys out of Milwaukee, inject the new talent into Milwaukee, and move forward.
Right.
I'm not keen on messing with them
Right.
too much, but
And then say you do make a head coaching move. I know Carl Taylor is the likely candidate, but you're going to also have to look at the big picture and go, is he the right fit currently for what's going on?
and see, that's the question I have. Would you do an interim with like a Todd Richards to see what happens, or a McKenzie or somebody like that who's already in the system, in the coaching staff, and go there? Or do you go outside of it and call a team for their assistant coach?
Right.
Do you call Columbus and go, hey, we gave you Fabro, can you give us Scott Ford for head coaching?
Right.
Not exactly keen on that either, but you get where I'm going.
Right.
The thing is something's got to be done, and it's got to be done relatively quick. Not in the next 3 minutes and 16 seconds, please. Because that would be
Yeah, I
horrible.
was about to tell you 3 minutes. It's just flying as we're working today.
But it is in retrospect why we do this.
Yeah.
Because this, coming from a Milwaukee fan perspective, I used to wear my Preds jerseys all over town with pride. Right now, I want to put a paper bag over my head. It's just that simple. And I get blasted from time to time for being, my secondary team being the Sabres, John's secondary team being Colorado. neither one of them are really doing anything right now either. But I could see those two teams sniffing at the Preds and going, hey, will you give us this or will you, because they are on the cusp,
Right.
especially Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Buffalo made the right choice in hiring Lynn.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, Luff. Ruff. I can't remember. It's Lyndon Ruff,
Yeah, I believe
their
it's
head coach. And he's the one that took them to the cup back in the day. So, and like I said, with all of that, with all these young prospects, but you also have Vinny Hinostroza. Why not try and call him up and see what you can inject him in? But then if you have to send him back through waivers, there's a hell of a risk there.
yeah.
And same thing with Kiefer Bellows. 13 games played, 6 goals, 5 assists. Joachim Kemmel, 13 games played, 5 goals, 6 assists. Kemmel's another one of those. If you're having trouble scoring goals, I wonder if Kemmel could help.
Right.
Kemmel's been playing phenomenal this year, especially with physicality.
Yeah.
It's almost like he would fit perfectly into what they're trying to do. So I'm not so sure that that's the process that you want to use, but that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
This has been our show. These are our thoughts currently. We will be back, like I said, on Sunday to break down more. Obviously, there's only one Preds game in that time. Next week, we have 4 games. That'll give us some more clearance on it. But I think if you don't pull one, if you lose all 4 of those games,
Right.
it's time to make a decision. And honestly, I wouldn't even give it to that. I think if you lose against Winnipeg and New Jersey, it you're at a position right now.
Yeah.
So, what's your thoughts? What would you do? Comment down below. Thank you for watching. This has been from Milwaukee to Nashville.